We're at the Edith Reed Nature Center in Rye, right adjacent to Playland, and we're just starting our walk through this area. We stopped here at this beautiful archway that's formed by porcelain berry growing on power vines, actually. So here we are, and we're entering now. Why don't you come through? I want to show you what porcelain berry looks like. Here we can get a great close-up of all the different colored berries on this one porcelain berry vine. And they run from almost white with little speckles, almost like robin's eggs, to deep, deep blue berries when they're finally ripe. In here are a group of these berries, and they range in color from white shading to light blue. And as they ripen, they come to dark blue. And when they're finally ripe, they're deep porcelain. Porcelain purple. The vine gets its name from the berries here. When it's at this stage, the skin on the berries looks almost like porcelain. At the outset, we're seeing signs that this property really was either under cultivation or was used for residential purposes sometime previous to now, but has been allowed to go wild. And here we're on an old road going in. We can see a lot of asphalt here, and the grass is growing right up through the cracks and starting to form a carpet all along the road. If left unchecked, this will just become a grassy area. And if we look around, we see previously cultivated land is allowed to go wild. In a natural forest, if this was undeveloped, we'd really see a lot taller trees and not so much vine and understory. And this land will progress towards that as it develops over hundreds of years. Talking about the remains of an old stone wall with maple trees growing right out of the stone wall. This area has been allowed to fall into disrepair, intentionally, I'm sure, as the town of Rye is letting it go towards a nature sanctuary. We can hear the chirping of some birds in the overstory. Can't tell what they are yet, but I hope to find out as we go along. We've just come through a few small pockets where the natural vegetation, it seems, has been undisturbed for a long time. There's a lot of birch trees growing in clumps around here, as well as American beech, which also grow in clumps. But then we have specimens like this, quite an old and overgrown privet, which is an imported species. Overgrown and unkempt privet bush. Usually they're half the size of this and far more well-maintained in private homes and residences. And we may have been on the grounds of one, and in the background is a small chain-link fence. We have some other invasive species here, and off in the distance we have some, quite a number of paper birches and American beeches, which are more indicative of our native woodlands in the northeast here. Although off to this side we have more or less unbroken beeches here and the birches, and soon will probably dominate this area if left unchecked, and it seems that will be the case here. They'll grow up here and really start to exclude other species fairly quickly here in the nature sanctuary. But even if you're tempted to touch, be a little careful. Here we have quite a bit of poison ivy, and it's recognizable by its clusters of 3 leaves here and here. And they're quite glossy and light green in the spring. As the summer goes on, they go dark green, and in the fall they go yellow and even bright red. Here we're starting to get a little of the bright red. In another few weeks they'll be really a beautiful color, but still quite poisonous to the touch. So always be careful. Found it. I was hoping we'd run into some bittersweet here. It's increasingly rare in our woodlands, but it's quite a beautiful vine. What we have, as the seeds develop, there's a uniform yellow outer husk, and as the outer husk dries out, it pops open quite quickly when it's ready to reveal its bright red center. And I hope you can see this, but it's a 3-part outer seed coat, and the red, again, a 3-part center berry. These have been really over-collected in our woodlands because they make wonderful wreaths, so I discourage you doing it now, but it's wonderful to see it here surviving in the waste areas in our natural places. Now you see the old chain link fence that is being covered with vines, and a lot of these vines were probably planted on it when this was an inhabited area. This is wild rose. We also have some honeysuckle vines still here, and this one is actually being covered by clematis leaves, clematis. Here are the seed pods of the clematis. Honeysuckle has the glossier leaves here. Black berries here in the fall. Young sassafras trees, which are the red and yellow ones, the leaves on a young sassafras are in different shapes, and you can see just leaves with 3 points, and you'll see leaves that are just one oblong shaped leaf, as well as the presence of young oaks indicate that a woodland is healthy. So it's nice to see we have some of these young trees growing up in this area.